Hello, y'all. This is Coach Lindsay with the Jackass Podcast. This is take number 2 on episode 16. First off, I just want to show you, I got a sample of my merch today. It is my hat as a camo black hat, flex fit, that has my logo embroidered on it. If y'all want that, I have the Jackass store on Spotify. Please come support. It's also got some electronic stuff. I'm just doing this stuff as a side hustle, so if this thing ever makes it big, I will probably still just do it as a side hustle because I actually like the job I'm doing now. So, all right. First, again, this is episode 16. So today we're going to talk about government shutdown. My thoughts on how school is different from when I was a kid to now. My philosophy on teaching, football in general, the Dallas tie, just weird stuff that happened in football, fantasy football, and inspirations, and where I get some of my inspiration from. I probably will when I start really sitting down writing, when I get those moments and start putting like little episodes where it's just me reading something that I wrote. All right. If y'all like it, you don't, that's fine. That's cool. But so again, this is Coach Lindsay, episode 16. I sound a little different today because I'm hoarse from me getting like the first couple days of where I get my butt kicked every year for like 3-4 weeks. And I am just constantly stopped up and trying to figure out how not to be stopped up, especially in the morning or when I'm leaving the house and then throughout my workday. Because my workdays end up being like 11 hours long. And I'm not really complaining, but it's just what happens. So, but yeah, so if I sound a little different, that's why. I'm probably going to sneeze a bunch, cough a bunch. It's just one of those things I get. And the fact that I work in a school, got a petri dish, that I work at a petri dish, man, everybody gets sick at a school. So let's start talking. Again, the first thing we're going to talk about is government shutdown. At the federal level, I do not get this, man. Someone in Congress, someone in DC's got to explain this to me, because it's not just Congress. Between the executive branch and the legislative branch, there's a group of them that really needs to pull their head out of their ass. You got millions of people working for y'all, and y'all shut down the government and send out a message. So right now I have an instructional assistant and her husband's in the Army, and they sent out a message that basically said you got to work without pay until this is all settled. So our armed forces are working out without pay till y'all figure out the fucking budget. Please. Do you know how sad that sounds? That all this shit that people rely on, because y'all got egos the size of the Eiffel Tower. I don't know what it is, size of Mount Kilimanjaro. Y'all need to shove that aside. Stop acting like a bunch of pompous asses that think your opinion has to be right. And I'm gonna say this: I don't give a flying fuck what side of the aisle you're on this. If you're using people who are working for y'all in the federal government, who rely on that budget to pay their bills, and because you make 400 grand, which is about 10 times more than most of those employees make, and you got your head so far up in the clouds of whatever reasoning we have is a great reason, y'all full of shit. You messing with people's money and about to fuck people up. Because most people don't get to live like y'all do. Most people don't make 6 figures. Hell, between me and my wife, we barely make 6 figures. Much less people who actually work for the federal government, unless you are a very high-ranking military official. Do you make more than what you can just live off of? Like, this is ridiculous. And it's not something that, like, I live in a town that has 3 military bases. San Antonio has 3 active military bases. At one time, they had 5. Technically, they may have 4 if you count Cambolis. So these are places that rely on federal income to do their job. And you're telling me that the federal government can't figure something out. Y'all supposed to be politicians. Y'all supposed to be people who can actually debate and come to a fucking compromise and stop having your heads up your asses so much. What your convictions are don't fucking matter to most people if you're fucking with their money. And that's all this is. You fucking with people's money that work for you and people who probably would want to stay, but they don't want this bullshit. Like, what the hell kind of shit is this? Figure out the budget, get it signed. And I seriously don't give a shit who fault this is. Because in all honesty, it's everybody's fault in Congress, in the Senate, in the executive branch. It's all y'all fuckers' fault. It's not just one person's fault. It's never one person's fault when y'all can't come to a compromise. Or very seldom is it just one person's fault. Because in order to come to a compromise, you actually have to be willing to give something up. And so y'all giving up people's money, yeah, I know they'll get it back, but come on, most people live paycheck to paycheck in some form. So this is a load of horse shit. Like we talk about how the government's fucked up already, and this is like, well, we're playing chess with these people's money. Please, God help us if that's what we're doing now. Just because you don't like President Trump or you don't like whoever's head of the Democratic Party. Listen to me. I don't give a fuck. I don't give that shit. I actually don't care that much about politics in D.C. because there's a trickle-down effect for it to really directly affect me a lot of times. And unfortunately, this is affecting a lot of people that I have a high amount of respect for. And some people I love, they're still doing that job. And y'all messing with their money because y'all got too much pride to actually make a compromise and get this shit done right. So, politicians, and don't take this as a threat, but y'all need to know, eventually when people figure out that you might be one of the reasons that people aren't making money or aren't able to do their job right, people will stop voting for you. That should be your biggest threat, is that people just stop voting for you. Y'all have another election coming up around, a year? And we're going to blame, this is President Trump. It's his first year back in office. And everybody's butthurt about it. It's time to grow up. It's been almost a year since he was elected, because we just hit October. So you got another month, and there's a year since he's elected. And y'all are like, this is just dumb. It's not even crazy. It's just fucking stupid. That's why it's so annoying. Y'all a bunch of grown-ass adults. I know some of you don't act like it. Some of you act like spoiled brats. And this is on both sides of the party. I'm not just criticizing the left, and I'm not just criticizing the right. It's both sides. There's a bunch of you people who are entitled motherfuckers who just do not get what your job is. Your job is to make sure that the 320 million people that live in this country are taken care of. That is y'all's job at the end of the day. And you guys have taken that for granted for so long because y'all got a power trip. The only way this government works is if everybody's doing their job like they're supposed to. It's just like the only way a football team works is if everybody's doing their job like they're supposed to. So y'all need to please stop this shit. Stop punishing the little man for your ego trips, even though throughout history, that's what ends up happening. Because once the little man gets mad enough, he'll take the big man out somehow. whether they just take him out of power by voting, whether or not voting for him, or whether they just say, okay, we're going to overthrow. That's why there's a lot of governmental regimes that change, because people do stupid shit up at the top and forget who's down at the bottom. And there's a lot more on the bottom of the pyramid than there are on the top. Don't ever forget that. Pyramid doesn't stand on a point, it stands on a base. And the base of your country is the 330 million people that live here. Not the 600 people we're talking about making the decision. So someone in Congress may want to think about that. All right. Because this is going to be one of those things that sometime in history, when people get really annoyed that this happens so often, especially in like the last 20 years, I don't know how many times this happened. I know it happens at least every couple of years because we get mad. I think it happened during Biden. I don't know if it happened during Biden's administration. I think it happened during Trump's last administration. But so please, politicians, pull your head out of your asses and do your job. All right, this next part, I know I usually talk about Texas education, but I think there is a disconnect when it comes to education. Actually, I know there's a disconnect when it comes to education. And I'm going to say there's a really big disconnect. Not so much on like the Title I programs or the lower class schools or the lower income schools. It starts with the mid and high income schools. They got parents that think they know it all. Parents, I'm going to say this, and I'm directing this at the parents. Because when I'm in a classroom, I tell the students this in a different way. But I'm going to tell y'all this now. What you remember about education, whether it's 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or like me, almost 25 years ago, that classroom has changed drastically. It's not just a COVID thing where the classroom changed drastically. It is a just a world and technology thing, and how we raise our children. For my generation of parents, how we raised our kids in using electronics as a babysitter rather than a tool for and just a way to keep them entertained, rather than the tool that should be used for. So if you're getting calls about your kid and their damn phone, and in Texas, this is a royal pain in the ass right now, because the kids bitching, well, why they ban phones for us in class? Because y'all constantly distracted. So, and all we had to do as a district was come up with a set of rules of how to keep the phones banned in class. But parents, it is not the same. You don't have the same courses. You don't have the same requirements in Texas. In Texas, it was a plus if I got two or more credits for a language. It wasn't a requirement. Now, every kid to get a high school diploma in the state of Texas has to have 2 years of a foreign language. Now, in some instances, that foreign language can not only be Spanish, but it could be French, German. I think I've seen Russian, Latin, American Sign Language. It can be one of those, but we didn't have that requirement when I was a kid. We had the 4 Englishes. I don't think I had to take a math my senior year. Because now in Texas, they have to take one of the 4 core classes all 4 years. So that's 16 credits. A fine arts credit, a PE credit, half a health, half a speech, government and economics. And like I said, 2 language courses. And then the rest could just be electives. But It is not the same. The stress on testing is far different. Like, we got tested, but we aren't nearly as stressed out as these kids are. Our teachers weren't nearly as stressed out as me as a teacher are. And it's not even the test itself, really. It's test day. And it's just how we have to do this because people who haven't touched education ever as a profession. Now, you may have touched education like all of us have as a student, but as a profession, and it is a profession and it is a craft profession. It may not be like building wood stuff in that way. It may not like be building houses where it's a physical craft, but it is a craft profession. And that craft is being able to communicate with people on stuff that they don't really want to learn and on stuff that the state that you live in says, well, they got to know. And it is crazy to see how parents act, like how social media acts and how we always bitch about like 1%. She's just like 1% of something that fucks something up royally. This is gonna be my cussing episode, evidently, because I'm just in a mood to cuss and I'm not feeling well, so my language is gonna be a little bit more colorful today. But yeah, no, parents, you need to stop living when you were a student, because I'm gonna tell you major differences. Most teachers don't give homework, or what the knowledge is that we think they need has changed. And instead of doing fundamentals over and over and over again, putting everything forward instead of making sure the foundation is set like it was when we were kids. Because we had to be able to multiply, we had to be able to divide. Now these kids get calculators, and I get wanting to use a calculator. It makes it easy. Makes it easy for me when I'm doing simple little things. But it doesn't make it right if I don't know how to put the information in and I don't know how to dissect the information. We also aren't parenting our kids like we used to. Cause see, some of y'all are mad because mom and dad believed in trusting the adult in the room, and now we don't teach kids how to respect other adults. Cause I don't know them or they haven't earned my respect. Like, dude, we don't have a reference for people who are older than us anymore. And I'm not saying everyone that's older needs to be like revered, but throughout history, as a culture and through cultures, through all different cultures, they revered their old timers. American culture wants to get rid of the old timers. We want to get rid of the history. We want to get rid of all this shit that reminds us of how we fucked up in the past instead of using that as a time to gain lessons. I'm a coach. I love the boys on my football team to death. We are not as talented as some other people, so we got to play like a perfect game to we have to play a perfect game to win, and we keep messing up. So we're not winning. We're getting our asses whipped. We're messing. We're not having like mess ups that we can come back from. And I'll give it this year. We're not snowballing like we have in the past, but we don't teach these kids how to mess up anymore. We don't like if you don't. There's someone on TikTok, and I don't know who it, but he always talks about dads and what dad's value is. There's a lot of kids that don't have dad in the mix as much as they should. Because dad and the husband and that male figure isn't as overprotective as mom, isn't as caring And not that they don't care, not that I care less for my daughters than my wife does, but I'm willing to let my kids go out and take a risk, and then if they mess up, we go over the lesson. That's my job as a parent. There's a lot of parents who don't wanna teach their kids what they should be doing, and it's simple things, and you expect teachers to do it. I'm not your child's first teacher. I've said this before on the podcast. I was my children's first teacher. I was one of their first 2, 3 teachers, 3 or 4 teachers. The people and the adults in their lives until they got to elementary school are your children's first teachers. So if you ain't teaching them all this stuff when they're 4 or 5 and they see you acting a fool or they see you acting like an ass, because it may not be what you say that they catch on to. It's how you act. It's how you represent yourself. Do I always represent myself 100% like I should? No. But I'm man enough and I'm enough of an adult to admit when I did something wrong and learn from it. I'm not here going, no, no, I never do anything wrong. That's a bunch of bullshit. If your ego's that big that you think you don't ever do a damn thing wrong, then someone had knocked you the hell out. Someone hadn't crossed, you haven't crossed someone, luckily, or you just don't have a good enough friend to tell you when you fuck up. And it's probably that last one. Or the people that do tell you and care enough to tell you you fucked up, you get rid of because you don't want to hear it because you're a big ass baby instead of a grown ass adult. And that's what you're showing your kids. That, oh, I don't need to hear that I messed up. My job as a teacher is to help these kids learn how to correct their mistakes. There's really a fight that there's a bigger divide now than when I was a kid. And we can talk mental problems on both ends of this spectrum. Where my really good kids, my really smart kids, my kids that it has just come so easy to, don't know how to handle when that stuff doesn't come easy to them. When it's not natural, when now they're messing up, they don't know how to handle that. And I'm not saying that it's because people were too positive or anything like that. I'm saying they just don't know how to handle it. They haven't been taught by somebody how to handle that mess up. Because everybody says, because you come and you fix it for them, or you demean them so much because it wasn't perfect, or in their mind that's what they see. And I'm not saying it's all parents' fault. Sometimes it's the kid. Like sometimes there's something wrong with the wiring in the kid, and I get that. But we don't parents, if you had a mom and dad who taught you stuff and you didn't pass those lessons on to your kids, then you're doing wrong by your kids. You're setting your kids up for unrealistic expectations for when they're an adult. I've seen it personally. I love my wife to death, and there are times where she's one of those people like, I don't want an adult today. It's hard. And you know what? It's a hard fucking job being an adult. But it's a hard job for our kids because now they're gonna have to learn how to be an adult. And I work in a grade level where they got 4 or 5 years after they leave. They got 4 years after they leave where I'm at, and they got 4 years, and that 4 years starts going by faster and faster and faster as we start putting stuff, giving our time up more to go do other stuff because we want to do that stuff, and we don't teach these kids these lessons. And some of them need to be taught. You need to teach your kid how to fail. Learning to fail is one of the most important things in life you have to learn. And we have a bunch of parents, and I'm going to say it's more than it was when we were kids, who wanna coddle their kids so they don't fail, so they don't feel bad about themselves. But your kid needs to learn this. That's like if you coddled your child till they learn to walk perfectly, you did them a disservice. Now, again, this is my opinion, and I'm the father of 2, but every good parent I know lets their kid fail, and they know who their kid is. They're not blinded by, "Oh, it's mijo," or "Oh, it's this," or "Oh, it's pobrecito." No. It's one of the reasons that I actually like working in Title I school. I know I'm gonna catch in between really 2 types of parents. They know their kid's a little shit, and they know they messed up somewhere along the way, they just can't figure out how to fix it right now because it's on the kid, and I'm in a middle school, and some of this may be the grade level they're in too, because it changes kids, or their kid can do no wrong, is the other side of that coin, and that's unrealistic too. That's even more unrealistic than admitting, "Well, I messed up. I don't know how to raise it. I don't know how to teach this kid to do this right," versus, just doing it. Like, that's our job as parents. If you're a parent, your job is to teach your kid. That's exactly what it is. So, please, parents, and please, people that as you become parents, your job is to make a better person than who you are. So if you're a really good person, your job is to make them better than you. Teach them from the lessons you learn. Let them be the wise man. One of my favorite quotes, and I don't even know where I heard it from, is, "What's the difference between a wise man and a fool? A fool learns from his mistakes, a wise man learns from the fool's mistakes." Let yourself as a parent be the fool and your kids be the wise men so they can learn from your mistakes. Some of them may not learn the lesson that you're hoping they learn. And hopefully you can get them on a good path. So, and this is going to go into my philosophy of teaching and coaching. Because my philosophy of teaching is I'm going to teach the kid that's in front of me. I'm going to figure out that kid. I've been a special education teacher. I'm going on my 8th year of doing it. I really don't mind the part where I'm engaged with students. I hate the part where I had to do so much damn paperwork. It's not funny. Because my job ends up being a lot of paperwork, and keeping up with it is a bear. So if you don't know what special education is basically there's kind of 3 levels in a school. There's the regular average kid who doesn't need much help. Then there's the Section 504 kids who might need a little help. It may be for medical reasons, it's usually for medical reasons. It's not usually for a learning disability because that goes into special education. But usually you have 504 kids who just get a little bit of accommodation. And then you have special education kiddos. Special education is a big umbrella that covers, and I'm going to say this from being in Texas, that covers the lowest functioning kid to the highest functioning kid. So it covers kids in life skills and autism units where they're so low they're like 1 or 2 years old mentally or emotionally, to our gifted and talented students or really smart kids. They all fall under special ed umbrella because by the definition of special ed, it is a child that needs specially designed instruction. So that's just something that y'all have to think about. My philosophy on teaching is I find what that kid does well, try to enhance it, and then try to get what they don't do well, and then we work on it till they kind of do it well. And I may not put it as, well, we're working on it this way, It may be something I do the whole class, and then some that I can come reference back to. Or me and my co-teacher, if I'm a co-teacher, we talk about it beforehand and have a game plan. And then we get to class, they teach it, and then we use it as a reference point to help them and give them part of a toolbox. Or like a call, they put it in their utility belt. My philosophy on teaching is to get that kid to be better a little bit every day. It's my same philosophy on coaching. My job is to get these kids ready for the real world. And so I don't want to say I crush hope sometimes, but I give them a reality check when they need it. So that's one of the things. It's also it's just how I coach. I try to be more positive than I normally am in the classroom, and I do it based on the student. Like I get to one of my greatest strengths is building relationships with students. And am I gonna build a great relationship with them all? No. I'm gonna try to build a decent one. I'm gonna try and build one that's good enough for them to understand that I do care. Do I expect them to tell me everything? No. So, but an expectation that comes when you come into my classroom is you're gonna treat me like you want to be treated. So if you want to be a smart ass with me, I'm gonna be smart ass with you. If you're gonna cop an attitude with me, I'm gonna cop it back. I may give you a free pass one time, but I'm gonna give you a warning and tell you the next time that ain't gonna fly. That's your one shot. And if you want to be just dumb about it, we can do that. Because I'm not gonna tolerate disrespect from anybody, and that's my attitude with adults too. If you want to act like an ass with me, I can act like an ass. I do not have a problem with it. So it's basically my philosophy on teaching. And the other part of it is I try to put everything that we learn and give them a place in the real world, especially in middle school, of where you could see this. Because there's a lot of times where they're like, well, why are we learning this? Well, this is where you can see it. This is what you could do with it. So that's my philosophy on teaching. My job is to connect you to the real world and get you to do stuff that you would be doing in the real world. And the district I work in does that a lot with like the magnet schools and some of the programs that they have within the schools, that they're giving you opportunities to do real world stuff. So that's kind of where my stuff is at right now. And my philosophy on teaching. Yeah. So now we're gonna go into the fun stuff for me to talk about. The last 35 minutes have been me bitching a lot. So my God, my Cowboys. How the hell do you have a 40-40 tie for the first time in NFL history from two of the most storied franchises in NFL history, the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers? Like seriously, how can you not come up with a stop and just keep giving them dumbass penalty after dumbass penalty? Like, that's my only complaint about the game. There were some dumbass penalties in there, but it was on both sides of the ball too. So, but yeah, no, man, a 40-40 tie, really, all the way down the last second in overtime too. So didn't see that coming, but that was cool. I will have to say one other thing I wonder about is all the injuries that have been happening, especially in the NFL and the NBA, because they have lightened their practice load so much. So if y'all don't know, state of Texas, we start football about 3 to 4 weeks before the season. That first week of football, the kids don't dress in pads to the 5th day. We get them accustomed to being in the helmet for a couple of days, and we get them accustomed to having the helmet and shoulder pads and the kind of hit. And then that fifth or sixth day, you're allowed to be in full gear, going full contact because you want to get your body accustomed to it. And then the rest of the year, you can just be full contact, and that's fine. You just have to teach the techniques, make sure the kids don't get their head. And then you still gonna get some stuff where kids can get concussions. And when we say things have changed, parents, things have changed there too. If we have an inkling that a kid has a concussion, we have to put them in concussion protocol. We have to get you take your son or daughter to the doctor and get them to tell you whether or not they had a concussion. And so it becomes like a what the hell kind of deal. But I actually say this because I saw on a TikTok, John Gruden complain about it because all these injuries. And I think it is that you don't football is a violent sport, people gonna get injured. I get that. It's a violent sport, especially if you don't do the techniques right and keep your head out of the way and all that crap. But it's also a sport where you can just get injured almost any which way and you don't know where that's coming from. Whether it's in practice. I had a buddy who got injured in practice. But I had one of my teammates get injured on the football field running, I want to say 50 yards. I think he tore his knee. But we don't have. So high school gets to callous their kids more than the NFL does. And the NFL has bigger, stronger, faster guys. And so their body's not used to taking this contact. They haven't taught their body or retaught their body how to do it because the practices are so light. They're so much more mental. And I get that. But the God's honest truth is that you have to push your body to the limit and teach your body how to do weird stuff, especially if you're an athlete. You have to teach your body how to do weird stuff and land not naturally and get those weird aches and pains from joints that you didn't know. That's part of being an athlete. And I get we're talking grown ass men who want to walk around fine later on in life. This sport messes you up even if you just play till high school. And all sports mess you up. Look at these guys like carefully when they're walking around and they're doing stuff. They're messed up, even basketball players. For sport, we mess up our body a lot because it's fun for us. So that's my other thing on football right now is just the injury bug has been crazy. And that's gonna go into my fantasy football topic because oh my God, my big money team got decimated. I had started off with Malik Neighbors, he got decimated. I went and looked at my roster today and looked and said, shit, I don't have anybody for this spot, or this spot. Hell, I looked at one of mine today and I don't have a backup tight end. I need to get one by this weekend. Like, it's ridiculous. And the injury bug has killed, like, my roster, my friend's roster. So, hopefully someone will come back, but I don't like seeing players injured, and I get the NFL and the NBA trying to prevent their players from being injured as best you can and limiting stuff, but you can't fully limit, especially in football, the contact portion out of it so much that your body's not used to really doing it. It's one of my worries when they talk about killing preseason. No, you need that so you can see people that you don't normally see. And you need that because the body's got to get used to playing again. So, man, I'm getting tired. Sorry, y'all. So yeah. The last thing I'm gonna talk about inspiration because inspiration comes with some weird stuff. Um, I was reading like a chatbot story, and the theme kept coming around between these two people of I see you. Like I see what you're hiding. I see what's behind the mask and the facade that you have, and for some reason, it really struck me. I have a plan for this writing and talking to people that I love in it, but each one of them in particular, and it'll be interesting. But it was an inspiration. Inspiration can come from anywhere. I gave one girl like a little inspirational thought today because she was going to do a project and she didn't want her picture taken. So I was like, well, why don't you do this, and then draw it because she's a good artist. Because it'd be part of her inspiration and it would be unique for her. And I thought it would be a cool idea. So, but yeah, inspiration comes from everywhere. I get inspired by different quotes, listen to different people, different TV shows, a whole lot of different reels on TikTok. It's just that thing of you have to find your inspiration on a lot of things and to be inspired to do what you like to do. My inspiration was never just to be someone that kids remember. If my kids remember me, great. But if they don't remember me, I'm fine with that too. But if I can, I think it's a quote in a Ricky Gervais thing, and it's an older lady who said, and I think I think this describes my job more than anything. It says the old man plant trees for people to enjoy the shade, that the growth and the shade that they'll never see. My job as a teacher, I may inspire someone in some way, and I may never know it. I know as a coach, I get lots of opportunities too, but that's not my main goal. It really isn't. My main goal is to help build these kids and hope. But I think having an inspiration and being someone's inspiration and finding where you find that inspiration is sometimes just one of those like interesting things. If you want, if you listen to this and you got this far, comment where one maybe a big inspiration for you is. I've been inspired by a lot of things by a lot of people. Like the kids tell me I have a lot of quotes. And I do love quotes, and those are usually inspiring to me. So again, this was Coach Lindsay, the Jackass Podcast. Don't forget my merch. We on the Jackass store. On Spotify. I will put the link with the podcast. Hey, y'all, have a good week. I know this is a little shorter than normal. Love y'all. Peace.